Hello everyone, you are welcome to our mathematics class. In this class, we're going to look at number and numeration part 3. How to write numbers in words and figures. But specifically, we'll be focusing on how to write decimal numbers in words. You would recall that in our previous class, I taught you how you can write whole numbers in words and in figures. So it is the turn of decimal numbers. How can you write decimal numbers in words and in figures? First, we are starting with writing decimal numbers in words. To move on into this lesson, I would like us to remember what we learned when I taught you about place values of decimal numbers. I stated that the place value of decimal numbers start with tenths, and that tenth is the highest place value there, right? Tenth is the highest place value. Any digit under tenth is the highest digit. Then after tenths, you now move down, all right, towards the right. You move to hundreds, you move to thousands, you move to tens of thousands. You continue going, okay? The number moves on in that way. But as you are moving towards the right in the decimal parts, the value of the number will be reducing. Okay, so that was what I told you, all right? And I believe that you learned when I taught you place values of decimal digits. Now, we are going to use that idea, that knowledge, all right, what we learned from that class to see how we can write decimal numbers in words. And on the board here, as usual, I have the secrets for you. Is that okay? I have the secrets for you. But before we move on to the secrets, let me give you the general idea of how you pronounce decimal digit parts in a number if you want to write it in words. Is that okay? Now, you are expected to pronounce all the digits at once, okay? And then you mention the last place value, which of course is the smallest place value. As an example, let's assume that I have 0.214, is that okay? There are whole numbers here, is that okay? The whole number could be 0, it could be other digits, alright? But I'm just interested in this part yet. I now want to pronounce this part, okay? What am I expected to say? So that writing it in words will be correct. All I need to do is to identify the last place value here. And the last place value of the decimal digit, if you look at it, is thousands. Because this one is tens, this is hundreds, and then this is what? Thousands. So all I have to do generally to pronounce that decimal digit part is going to be 214 thousandths. 214 thousandths. So you see the whole idea there, right? Pronounce all the digits you have in the decimal part, and then you end it with the last place value. Is that okay? That is to say, you mention the last place value there. So that is the general way of actually pronouncing the decimal digit part. Now, let us quickly look at our secrets, okay, on how we handle that. There are 3 of them I would like you to give attention to. These are the things you need to be thinking of when you want to write a decimal number in words. Secret number 1, you have to indicate the place values of the decimal digit part and, of course, the place value of the whole number part. Because, you know, why we are talking about whole number here is that every decimal number has a whole number part. Is that okay? So you need to identify the place value of the decimal digit part as well as the place value of the whole number part. That is secret number 1. You saw me when I identified the place value of the decimal digit in that 214 I showed you, which I pronounced 214 thousandths. Alright, so you need to identify the place value. It's very important. I know you might be thinking now, place value again? Of course, that's to tell you how important place value is as a foundational topic in mathematics. Secret number 2, you are expected to identify the last place value. And of course, you know that the last place value is the smallest place value, alright, when you are talking about the decimal digits. The decimal digits. As an example, that 214 that I showed you earlier, 0.214, you notice that the last place value is thousands, okay? Now, it's important for you to always identify that last place value, so that after pronouncing the digits in the decimal part, remember the way I handled it, the way I pronounced it, you must add the place value, alright? That is the last place value of that decimal digit. You must pronounce it as well too. You heard me say 214 thousandths. So it's important for you to identify the last place value of the decimal digits. Now, this takes us to secret number 3, what you should know when you want to write a decimal digit in Word. Okay, now you have done these things, that is indicating their place values. You have identified the last place value in the decimal digits. It is now time you want to write out the decimal number in words. So this is what you do. Okay, you are going to join the whole number part and the decimal part, that's the decimal number part, using the word and. Okay, so this secret number 3 is simply telling us, in writing this decimal digit, or these decimal numbers rather, in writing this decimal number in words, all you need to do is simple. Pronounce the whole number part. Okay, pronounce the decimal digit part, and then use and to join two of them. Okay, pronounce the whole number part, pronounce the decimal number part, and then use and to join the two parts. Is that okay? So that's simply how you handle writing of numbers, decimal numbers in words. Now, already I want to believe that from our previous classes on how to handle whole numbers, how to pronounce whole numbers, and of course write whole numbers in words, you no longer have much problems with that. So if you do have any challenge, please go back to that video, how to write whole numbers in words. Make sure you rewatch it so as to remind yourself, because we are going to encounter it here under decimal numbers as well too. Okay? And for this and, if the whole number part is just 0 only in the whole number part, that is unit, you have only 0 there, no that whole number there, then you don't need to use this and. There is how you handle those ones. We are going to talk about them. Please, we have this question here on the board. Let us solve these and see how we are going to write this number in word. It's a decimal number because it has a decimal digit. It has a decimal point. So we have 5769.136. This number is a whole number, and this one, the decimal digit. Is that okay? So like we said, quickly, you have to identify the place values there. And you know that this is unit, so we're going to have units. These are decimal points. Then we have tens, hundred, and what? Thousand. Because this 5 is under 1,000. That's a whole number. You don't have problem there anymore. Okay? If you still have any further challenge, please go and rewatch the video on place values. Now coming to the decimal digits, the first decimal place value is tens, the next will be hundreds. There are 3 digits there, so you expect to get 3 place values in the decimal part. So the third one is going to be thousands. Alright, now we've gotten the place values of this number. So let us fix the values there. This is 9, 6, 7, and 5, the whole number part. These are decimal points, and then we have 1, 3, and what? 6. 1, 3, and 6. Okay? So, now there is something I want to tell you here. Is that okay? There is something I want to tell you here. If you look at this number, 1 is under tenths. And so you have to write that one under what? Tenths. So you now move on in that order. Are you following? 3 will come under 100, 6 will now come under tenths. That is how you fix the decimal digit place values. I hope you know that. So with this, now let's see how we can write this number in words. This is a whole number, and this is simply 5,769. Okay, so I will write that 5,769. Good. Now we will now look at the decimal part. The decimal part is 136. Normally, if I give you the number 136, you pronounce it as 136. Is that not so? And of course, that's what I'm going to do here. But before I write that decimal part, I will put and. Remember, secret number 3. You join the whole number part and the decimal number part using the word and. So we have 136. So 136. And of course, identifying the last place value of the decimal digit, the last place value is thousands. And so I'm going to attach it. This is now going to be thousands. So this is how you write this number in words. 5,769 and 136 thousandths. So we have succeeded in writing this decimal number in words. Very simple, right? Okay, now let us get ready for the second question. Alright, now we've got these 2 challenges on the board, okay? Question number 2 and question number 3. What were we asked to do? Question 2, write 6.25 in words. Question 3, write 0.8 in words. These questions are very simple. As a matter of fact, even without showing any working, this 6.25 in words is written as 6 and 25 hundredths. Remember, the last decimal digit here is 5. The last decimal place value is hundredths. And so in the decimal digit, we have 25. Writing it in word, you have to pronounce it as if it is whole number. So you go by 25 and then end it. Conclude your pronunciation or your writing in words with the last decimal place value, which is hundredths. So we have 6 and 25 hundredths. Coming to question number 3, this is just 0.8. 0.8, the whole number part is 0. Ordinarily, you don't pronounce it. But if you just want to pronounce it, this 8 is in tenths. So this is simply 0 and 8 tenths. 0 and 8 tenths. But the thing is, we don't pronounce 0 in this case when we are writing it in words. Therefore, you can just drop that 0 and this 0.8 in words will simply be 8 tenths. Does that make sense? Let's go on and show the working on the board, okay? For question number 2, the solution. If you look at this, the place value we have, 6 is under unit, whole number. Then decimal point, 25 is under tenths and hundredths. Fixing the decimal digits, 6 will come under unit. Point, tenths we have 2, and then hundredths we have 5. So writing these in words is simple. You pronounce the whole number part, which is 6. You pronounce the decimal digit part, which goes with 25 hundredths. Then join both pronunciation, that of the whole number and the decimal part, join them using and. So let us go. 6 and 25 hundredths. 6 and 25 hundredths. This hyphen that I put here, if you like, you can put it. If you don't want, you can neglect it. It's not compulsory to put it. Is that okay? But most times you'll see me put it. That is before pronouncing the last decimal place value. You would see me put it. Like I said, it's not compulsory. If you don't want to put it, you commit no crime. So we are done with that. We move on to solution to question 3. That question 3, we have 0.8. Our place values, units, and tenths. Okay, so we have a decimal point here, and then tenths. Under the units, the digit we have there will be 0, which is the whole number part here. And then under the tenths, we're going to fix 8. Now, we have a decimal point here, you know. So like I said, 0 and 8 tenths. But we are not going to pronounce the 0, okay? So we neglect it and simply write 8 tenths. 8, alright, E-I-G-H-T. 8 and then hyphen tenths. 8 tenths is still the same as 8 over 10. This 0.8 is still the same as what? 8 over 10. Don't worry, when I teach you how to write decimal numbers in figures, you will see that. Are you following? But until then, let's just focus on this. We've been able to solve 3 questions. Maybe let's go for one more. Is that okay? Before we are done with these. So I decided that we should go on for 3 more questions, alright? And see how far we can write these numbers in words. So we have question 4, 5, and 6. These decimal numbers, we have to write them in words. Question 4. Express 0.012 in words. As usual, you notice this is unit, this is tenths, this is hundredths, this is thousands. Because this number is 12 thousandths. Let's find out. Putting our place values, we have the units place value, then tenths, hundredths, and thousands. And then the digit under unit is 0. The one under tenths is also 0, hundredths 1, and thousands is 2. Now, to pronounce this, one can say 0 and 12 thousandths. 0 and 12 thousandths. The whole number part is 0. But you know, we don't pronounce 0 as a number under this whole number part. Are you following, right? Just 0. Since it is only 0, we'll just forget about it. Forget that there is any 0 in the whole number part. Then focus in the decimal digit part. Now look at this decimal digit part. We have 0, that is 0.012. This is what we have in the decimal part. Now, I told you in one of our previous classes that if you have something like that, maybe if I give 0.12, this thing is simply the same as 12. It's simply the same as what? 12. Which means that you won't pronounce this 0 there, because there is no decimal digit between this 0 and these digits here. So you can just assume that it is not there. Are you following, right? 0.12 is the same as 12. Okay, now, that being the reason, this digit is 12. Now, the last place value of this decimal digit is thousandths. It therefore means that this number is simply 12 thousandths. And that is what we are going to write in words. Let's do that. Therefore, 0.012 equals, I'm going to write it in words now, 12 thousandths. So that is how you write that in words. And we've gotten our answer there. Now this will take us to solution question number 5. So we have our 5 there. Let's see the number given to us, 0.5. We should write it in words. In 0.5, you notice that the place value is simply units and tenths. The unit digit is 0. The tenth digit is 5. We have a decimal point here. Now, looking at this number, once again, under units as a whole number, what we have there is 0. So you just forget about the 0, you know. Now, if you come to this tenths, the number we have there is 5. And tenths is the only place value that appear in that decimal part, okay? Tenths is the only place value that appeared in that decimal part. Therefore, this is going to be 5 tenths. 5 tenths. Now you're stressing yourself saying 0 and 5 tenths. Since the whole number part, the unit there, just this one, it's only 0 you have in the whole number part, forget about it. Is that okay? And so you conclude, therefore, if we are to write 0.5 in words, it's going to be 5, that is 5 tenths. Again, we are done with solving this question 5. This will take us to solution to question 6. And in question 6, you have some large numbers, you know. This is 47316, the whole number part. And clearly you agree with me that this is in tens of thousand, 47,316. Tens of thousand, let's put the place value, 10 thousands, then we have thousands, we'll bring it down to units, 100, tens, and units. After that, you have your decimal point. Now the decimal digit is 7209. This is tenths, hundredths, thousands, 10,000s. So we go tenths, hundredths, thousands, and 10,000s. Alright. I will fix this digit under the correct place value there. Starting with the unit 61374. We move that with the whole number part 61374. Then we have our decimal point. In the decimal digit, the place value will enter as 7209 from tenths. 7209. We can now pronounce this. You know, I've taught you how to pronounce and write whole numbers in words. This number is simply 47,316. Good. Now, if you come to this decimal part, these are 4 digits. If I give you 7209, how do you pronounce it? 7209. Forget that it is a decimal digit part for this question. Just assume I give you 7209. How do you pronounce it? You're going to pronounce it as 7,209. Is that not so? 7,209. But take a look at this. The last decimal place value is what? 10,000. 10,000 is the last decimal place value. Which means if I pronounce this as 7,209, I will conclude it with what? 10,000. So having this whole number part pronounced, this decimal part pronounced, writing them in word, as usual, you join both of them using AND. So let us go. 47,316. Therefore, 47316 equal to 47,316. Then, to write the decimal part, I am going to introduce the conjunction, and. I'm going to introduce and then I will write this decimal part, 7,209. Now, put hyphen and conclude with 10,000s. So this is how we write this number in words. 47,316 and 7,209, 10,000s. And this brings us to the end of how to write decimal numbers in words. If you have any question, please feel free to send your question across, because you know how to do that, and you will get a response. Your question will be answered, okay? Well, in the next class, I'm going to teach you how to write decimal numbers in figures. We have finished how we can write it in words. Please, watch this video, rewatch it again in order to understand this very well. Remember how important your place value is. Don't joke with it. I advise you to go back and rewatch the video lessons on place values of whole numbers, place values of decimal numbers. It's going to help you a lot to follow up with us. Is that okay? I'll see you in our next class when we treat writing of decimal numbers in figures.